of physics or of science or of AI. And unfortunately, that time I checked what's happening with physics in Armenia, and we found that actually it's dying. Nobody goes and gets degrees in physics because they don't see the future. And so we thought that actually maybe we will help university in a sense that actually they get best of the best in doing physics. That's actually very important if you want to survive in 21st century.
You are watching Beyond Borders Diaspora. I am your host, Armenian. Today's guest moved from Armenia to the United States nearly 30 years ago and has since made Miami his home. Despite the distance, his connection to Armenia has never faded. In fact, he has led and continues to lead important initiatives supporting the next generation of physics students in Armenia. I'm excited to welcome Misak Sargsian, professor of physics at Florida International University. Misak, thank you for joining Beyond Borders Diaspora. We are grateful to have you with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Misak, you are professor of physics today. Can you take us back to your journey from Armenia to Florida International University and the path that brought you there?
So I graduated from Yerevan State University back in 1983. I went to Yerevan Physics Institute, which was premier lab for nuclear physics. So I wanted to become nuclear scientist. And then I did my PhD in 93. And then before the Soviet Union collapsed, and I found myself that with $10 a month salary. Okay, so it was a salary at the time. And so, but on the other hand, you could apply for postdoctoral positions abroad. I applied, and my first job was in Tel Aviv University in Israel, and I moved to Israel from 1993 to 1997. So I worked there 4 years. It was an interesting time. Also, I learned a lot how small nation can actually survive in a very hostile environment. For me, it was an interesting experience. And in 1997, I got so-called Alexander von Humboldt fellowship in Germany. I moved to Germany, Munich, Technical University of Munich, again doing nuclear physics. But then after 1 year, I was offered another postdoctoral position in University of Washington in Seattle. So I moved there. And 1998, I also offered assistant professor position in Florida International University. I spent a year in Seattle, and then in 1999, I moved to here. And since then, I'm working at FIU. FIU is the only state university in Miami. It's a 55,000 students. But it has a very strong research component. So it collaborates with national labs in the United States. One of the labs is so-called Jefferson Lab, which is very similar to Yerevan Physics Institute. So I came here to work for this lab.
To the United States.
Yes, I make a big circle, right? And then I work here. I collaborate with the lab. I graduate students here. So that's it, more or less.
Yeah, what are the key projects, maybe research you are doing at the university? Anything you would like to share, like key 1 or 2 projects?
So what we study the structure of atomic nuclei, understanding in the most basic principles how these nuclei are formed. So that's a very important question. It has practical applications also to understanding new sources of energy and, using atomic nuclei for different purposes. But my work is more theoretical. I do a lot of computational work. Actually, computation was something which helped me to get positions, because I do large-scale computations using computers. And so that's a very important component of science in 21st century. So
very important work. So let's go to talk about Armenian community in Miami. Is there any Armenian community in Miami? When you talk about when we talk about the Armenian diaspora, we never talk about Miami as a first place.
No.
Where you can find a lot of Armenians. Tell us.
Actually, in my wildest dream, I will think that I will end up living in Miami, So it's a small community, like I will say around 600 families.
Mm-hmm.
Community consists, when I came, initially it was people who came from Lebanon during the civil war, right? They moved in. There is a big community from South America, from Argentina, Venezuela. These are very vibrant communities.
Mm-hmm.
But lately, last 10 years, we have also many Armenians who came with Russian community because there is a North Miami beach, which is many Russians live there and many Armenians who move mainly from Russia rather than from Armenia. And these are all very good people, very nice people. Actually, it's very different dynamics here.
Interesting. Do you get together often? Is there a church?
There are two churches. One is St. Mary Church in Hollywood.
Mhm.
Many years I was a parish council member there. So then another St. David church in Boca Raton, which is older church and more established. So yeah, communication goes through these churches. But then you have also in the university two Armenians. I also had a student who came from Armenia. You have a small community also, like people who work in the university environment.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very different dynamics in the sense that when I go to California, you cannot compare.
Yeah, it's different, definitely. Okay, Misak, you did a lot of good thing for Armenia recently. You started a physics scholarship program since 2021. What inspired you to do that project?
You know, in 2020, we were all in shock, right? I mean, somehow nobody was thinking that it may happen, right? And then what we found that actually, surprisingly, Armenia was technologically far behind in this war. And actually, with the initiative of my colleagues, from Arek Danagulyan, who is a professor at MIT, we created Armenian Science Network and tried to see it's a desperate move how we can help in
Mm-hmm.
2020 with some efforts with the ongoing war, right? And clearly it was very late, very short. But then after war ended, we thought that this communication tool among Armenian engineers, scientists, and academics should be continued, and we started to increase it. But what we found that actually 21st century war is a war of physics, war of science, war of AI. And unfortunately, that time I checked what's happening with physics in Armenia, and we found that actually it's dying. Nobody goes and gets degrees in physics because they don't see the future. And so we thought that actually maybe we will help university in a sense that actually they get best of the best in doing physics. That's actually very important if you want to survive in 21st century. And so then we checked it. We found that actually the stipend 9,000 round, which was ridiculous. An idea was that maybe we establish some scholarship that attract some students. And another thing is that I think I don't want to say, oh, that's we figured out, we did this and that. And the same people in a university also understood the problem, right? Talented kids are not coming into doing STEM research or STEM education. And so there was a big effort to get the number of students growing in physics department. So actually, the dean that time, Rafik Hagopian, was, I mean, amazing. If you will have a chance to talk to him, he's not in anymore. He will go to high school to get students coming to university. So in year 2020, there were 25 people applying for physics. You know how many students are applying now? Around 150.
Wow,
So
that's a big
that's
difference.
that's a big thing. And so we thought that actually maybe we can do our part and get some stipends. Not only stipends, also science is a cosmopolitan profession. It is international. You have to integrate the student with the international community. You cannot do science in one university. There is no such
Yeah,
thing.
it's an
So
important.
idea was that if we can get mentors who will work with these students, talk to them, advise them, that will be kind of an interesting way of integrating these students. So it was a two component, give some stipends and try to find the people here who will agree to talk to them through Zoom. So that's a two ideas. And so we started to collect money in 2021, and the first stipend started to give in 2020 January. It was $100 a month. And then graduate students will get around $200 a month, but our focus was on the graduate students. And today we actually planning to give 10 more undergraduates and 5 more graduates. And I was working yesterday. Usually we report our incomes. Since 2021 fall, we collected 98,000. This is kind of very interesting. And it comes with very small contributions, from $25 a month to, say, $200 a month, more or less like this.
Armenians in the US and worldwide are thinking about Armenia, especially after the war. And it's kind of a rebirth of being Armenia, keeping our identity. Tell me more about your feelings.
That first of all, scary thought that we never, idea that Armenia may not exist, never had in our heads, right? And suddenly we thought that may happen, right? I always afraid still that we can become another Beirut, which would be terrible, right? So that's but what is the difference between Lebanon and Armenia? We have a substantial number of educated people in STEM that can be really power, right? And so this 2020 was, in a sense, that shocking, and I have to tell you really that many scientists never thought that they have a role to play for Armenia. Here. We have great, great scientists. After this, when we created this Armenian science email list, each time I get surprised how many talented people we have in the United States and Europe working in the key positions. And then I'm convinced that the power of diaspora is not the money. Okay, money is good. I think my friend estimated that Armenians worldwide have around 350, 400 billion dollars, which you count all these rich guys. But we have also know how Armenians, educated Armenians, and then the focus is not on these Armenians, but focus on how much money support you can get it. But then how you involve these educated people into Armenian life. I'm not saying I know, but this is one of the biggest issues. So this is very unique to diaspora, maybe comparable to Israel also. But we are somehow not using this power of educated Armenians, especially in STEM. I'm surprised. In NASA, we have actually close to 100 people working for NASA in the key positions. And then we don't have drones. This is a joke, right?
Yeah.
Why nobody went to them, right? Why nobody found them and asked them to help, actually? So that's
or they didn't find somebody in Armenia.
But that's the war play, because they never thought that they have a part to play in Armenia.
We didn't get invitation from Armenian telling us, okay, these are the exact needs we need from diaspora. Come and help us. It was never a very clear plan how we can. And then individuals like you kind of decided what they can do, how they can help. But there is a huge need how we can actually combine, understand what kind of talents we have globally and how we can use that talents to support Armenia in meaningful.
Problem is that these people are very busy people. It's very hard to them to say, okay, you do something. You have to tell them clear things that this is what is needed and what can be done. Okay. I just wanted to open up one question, which unfortunately now is kind of dormant, but we hope we'll bring it back. Few of us with initiative of Armen Tertulerian, I don't know, he was many years, he was the founding fathers of American University in Armenia, and he's president. He's a professor at Berkeley. So we had the idea to create U.S. Armenian Binational Scientific Foundation. Idea was that through NSF, you get U.S. funding, but you bring our Armenian scientists to do research. Now, this is not new. Israel had it since 1973, called U.S. Israeli Binational Scientific Foundation. And we actually succeeded to have a proposal. We actually got the signatures of more than 150 academicians from United States. Even Nubar Afeyan signed it on this. I can send you this copy of this proposal, you can see. But then it kind of now it's dormant with many other reasons. One of them, this idea of academic city in Armenia, which is actually I think many of my colleagues are very against of it. And so we'll see what will happen. Maybe we will return with this. But the idea is that you get US money with the collaborative research between US and Armenian scientists. And that's actually very, very important to engage Armenian scientists from US to work in Armenia.
And you are kind of doing this with your small project, trying to support students to be engaged in physics and then bringing them to the US or maybe in Europe to get the mentorship. You give monthly stipend to encourage them to apply to study in physics. What kind of difference you make?
So how this works, so they apply.
Mm-hmm.
So we put announcement, and then they send their actually CVs. They have to write essay why they want to do science, why they want to do physics, and 3 recommendation letter. More or less similar like in United States, people are applying for scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a committee of 10 professors in different universities. We send all these files into these people, and they individually rank these people, and then the top ranked students get the monthly stipend.
Mm-hmm.
And then for each student, we also provide a mentor here in the United States or Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I tell you something which is I never expected. Last 2025 and 27, you know how many applicants we have? We have 38 students applied for, we had initially 8 positions.
Wow.
Why I'm saying their files are excellent. Now you tell me, when you were in university, how many top students you have in your year of I don't know, in physics, we have 2, 3.
Yeah, usually that's the case.
Now we have 38. You look at their files, their grades are great. I mean, just think about it, how smart this new generation is, right?
And it's for master's graduate degree.
These are students who are doing their undergrads, right? They will get
Undergrad.
bachelor's degrees. Now, our next problem, what we found also, that actually when they finish, they usually don't continue. But nowadays, it's important to go through graduate studies. And so we want to now put some emphasis to graduate students, giving them 250 a month. Hopefully, it will encourage them to move to graduate studies. We'll see. But I mean, I tell everybody, I told you to, 8 students, just imagine, right? How could we? I'm so excited about this number.
Okay, you give them scholarships, you help them to study, and then you connect with the mentors, they get additional support, they become great specialists at the end. Are there opportunities for these people to get jobs in Armenia?
This is the most painful part. It's coming in, right? So there are more and more positions available where these educated kids can go and work. So one of them, if you will be in Armenia, tell me, I can organize you visit, say, engineering city if you've never been there. That's amazing place. And there are so many dedicated people there from United States who spend their life there. So they need this kind of very educated young people to work on. So this is one example. And then they putting supercomputer there. There is also the $500 million data center which is being built in Armenia. So you need people to work. Who is going to work there, right? So yes, it's slow, but it's happening. But the important thing that you have now educated generation that can work there.
Are you selecting the fields that you would like to support specific students, that they are choosing specific fields like AI, quantum computing? It doesn't matter. It's physics. So who are your supporters? Are they mainly Armenians, Armenian scientists? Can you share more about what kind of response did you get?
So there are Armenians. Majority are Armenians who work in universities, in research labs in the United States. So I'm amazed. They were so happy to do this. So I have some people who are actually currently since 2021, $100 a month. I have to tell you that this money goes through account of, there is an organization, very good organization, which is in California and New York. It's Armenian Engineers and Scientists of America. And so they have their tax exempt account. We are part of this organization. So the money doesn't come to me. It goes to this account and we pay from this account. And it's a tax exempt. We have also people who are involved in businesses in Armenia. We get surprisingly some people from Armenia support. I have good friends who work in the high technology sector in Armenia. They're paying this account because one of their problems that they need actually a workforce, right?
Yeah.
And they are interested that this workforce will be developed in Armenia.
Yeah. And I'm always thinking, how can we develop philanthropy culture in Armenia as well? There are a lot of, I would say, maybe wealthy people, and not necessarily wealthy, people who have good means and they are able to do something for Armenia. In the US, there is this culture, they want to do something. They would like to give back to the communities. They would like to do something to the world. How can we create that culture also in Armenia, not only in diaspora, but also in Armenia?
One thing I never understood why we don't have university alumni organization, right? That is, I see so many people who are alumni of Yerevan State University all over the world, right? This is not a nice source for university to do fundraising, right? But they don't have it. I never understood it.
Yeah.
But I think this culture comes. Second is tax-related issues. This is very important in the United States when they support and they get tax exempt. I think Armenia doesn't have it. But I have to say that actually I wasn't expecting that when our first attempt we did to ask the money, how many people willingly participated. I was surprised. That means that people want to do this, okay? I mean, if you are going to spend money for Armenia, best thing to spend for educating our
Yeah.
talent generation. Is something better than that, right?
I think that's the key. Armenia doesn't have any resources. The only resource we have is just us.
I think interesting story. When I was a postdoc in Tel Aviv University, money was little, and my wife and my daughter, and we had a very tough time. I mean, that was the standard salary in Israel at that time. But then I have many friends who were also actually graduate students, not even postdocs, but they were living in a very good life. So I will say, if I'm postdoc, I am kind of barely, making things. How you are living? And then they say that each graduate student has a family in United States, not their relatives, who supports them.
Mm.
So there are these families. I don't know who organized it, but so if you are a good graduate student, right? And then there's some American family is kind of supports these studies, sends them monthly payments.
Yeah. That's also.
Like on a university or government level. But I was surprised that there is this kind of, connection to, but we don't have this. So we have to cherish that all the talented kids. It's like our treasure. We have to live.
Sure. How many people are behind your project?
So different times, there are some people who pay recurrently, some once a while. Around 65 people actually in
That's great.
total.
That's awesome. And trust has been an issue with the Armenian diaspora. There were a lot of conversations. Is our support going to the right cause? Especially after the war, there were some conversation. So for our listeners, as they hear about your initiative, how can supporters feel confident that their contributions are creating real impact in Armenia?
So first of all, at least twice a year, I send detailed report with Excel file with all the pennies counted. They see this. All the supporters get this file. We provide the report how many students are getting. Excel file has income and expenses, right? So they can clearly see that. So that's very important. If you look at many organizations, even if you donate, you never get report. And this is an important issue. So I'm very pedantic in a sense that any penny that is sent, they have to see how it was spent. Okay, so that's important.
So, and then how can people join your scholarship fund?
If they send me email,
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. And looking ahead of 2026, what is your vision for expanding the program?
So, so that's the one important thing which I really hope that we will do. Actually, two things. Let me tell you one thing which we started second time. I'm physicist and I made out of Armenia, so I do my research. But I know so many talented people who stayed in Armenia. They are very talented. They did so much for Armenian science. They didn't get the return that they deserved. Especially, I know people from nuclear and particle physics community. So what we did, we created Ali Khanian Prize among alumni of physicists who are in nuclear and particle physics, and we pay actually $2,000 like Ali Khanian Prize for lifetime contribution into nuclear and particle physics in Armenia. We give this prize to those scientists who stayed in Armenia, worked there. They are now not young; they are late 70s, but they never really
Mm-hmm.
what they deserve really.
Yeah.
First prize we gave it Hrant Kulkanyan. He's a great physicist, and soon we will announce our second prize. Yeah. But for this, we need the funding. I don't know in your profession, but in science here, we have these prizes. We have many prizes which are given through American Physical Society. They recognize contribution of different scientists, and so we decided we should do this for our this generation of physicists in Armenia, and they never really, But now I'm working to get the funding for it because it's a $2,000 one-time prize and requires getting money. That's now. Hopefully we will get enough funding. And the second one is, I think the day I told you that we have to bring these educated students, these good students to West or Europe to participate in conferences, in schools, get experience working in national labs. That's actually my hope that we can do that. Say these students come and work for say
Yeah.
in the national labs in the United States.
Yeah, that's very important to see, especially here the labs are so good. And
Oh,
especially for scientists, you need to use labs.
this also creates networking. Our Armenian kids are very communicative, right? They can come and create their friends and, created their own life in science.
Yeah.
So
And
important.
networking.
Yeah.
And hopefully all that will go back to Armenia. So what is your dream destination in Armenia?
I was born in Gyumri. Yeah. And then I went to Yerevan.
A lot of relatives are from Gyumri.
So then in 70, after high school, I went to Yerevan and lived there until I left Armenia, right? So my best destination, just walking in Yerevan, in like Sayat Nova, Bogan Street, whenever I go now, that's my best destination because this is where I grew, in a sense, which,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I take my kids to, the churches and all this, but for me personally, these streets in Yerevan is where I kind of,
Yeah.
very close to my heart.
That's true.
And so, same with Gyumri. If you go there, go to the downtown old city and just walk there. This is the best experience you can get.
Yeah. When I go to Armenia, that's what I like to do. I just walk in the downtown of Yerevan and different streets you said. And also going to Gyumri. Gyumri is such a beautiful city and it has grown a lot. So it's really nice to spend some time there. Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Misak,
Thank you, Sudha.
for a deep and inspiring conversation. And thanks what you do for physics students in Armenia. And I think you were right. We need to find the best way how we can find talents worldwide and support our talents in Armenia, how we can get that connection, how we can get the resource to benefit Armenia and people in Armenia. You have been listening to Beyond Borders, where we unpack one story at a time, and there are many more to come. Subscribe to our email list at beyondbordersdiaspora.com to be the first to know when new episodes drop. Subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts as well.